Israeli-Egyptian relations. Egyptian-Israeli relations began with a state of war between the two countries since the 1948 war, through the defeat of Egypt in the 1967 war, during which it lost the Sinai Peninsula. Followed by the 1973 war, and the state of war officially ended with the signing of the Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty after the Camp David Accords during the era of Muhammad Anwar Sadat. And because of Sadat's visit. The first for Israel. For years, Egypt was facing a semi-comprehensive Arab boycott, as it was considered the first actual recognition by an Arab state of the State of Israel and normalization of relations with it. And Egypt remained the only Arab country to sign an agreement with Israel until 1994. The peace agreement was followed by the establishment of formal diplomatic relations between the two countries. Egypt has an embassy in Tel Aviv and a consulate in Eilat. And Israel has a consulate in Alexandria and an embassy in Cairo. Its first building was opened in Daki on February 26, 1980, and it was transferred later after the popular rejection of the Israeli presence in Egypt. And the exit of many demonstrations and protests in all Egyptian cities, and chanting the demonstrators chanted, "Close embassy, expel ambassador," which became popular. Egypt withdrew its ambassador from Israel several times since. During the rule of Hosni Mubarak, in 1982 relations between the two countries deteriorated due to the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. And the Egyptian embassy in Tel Aviv remained without an ambassador until 1986, and again in 2000. When the Egyptian ambassador was absent from Tel Aviv for 5 years due to the events of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Second Intifada, and a third time during the rule of Mohammed Morsi in 2012 in protest against Israel's launching of massive airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, which also affected 2 Hamas leaders who returned 3 years later. After the January 25 revolution in Egypt, Israel killed Egyptian soldiers on the border between the two countries in August 2011. Demonstrators stormed the Israeli embassy building on September 9, 2011, and forced the diplomats to leave. 4 years later, and in September 2015, Israeli diplomats returned to work from the Israeli embassy in Cairo, after Cairo appointed its ambassador to Tel Aviv several months earlier. In the field of trade relations, the Egyptian government signed in 2004 the Quiz agreement with the United States and Israel, which enables Egyptian products to enter the American market without tariffs or quantitative quotas, provided that 11.7% of Israeli components are used. In 2005, the Egyptian government signed an agreement to export Egyptian gas to Israel, requiring the export to Israel of 1.7 billion cubic meters annually of natural gas for a period of 12 years. A memorial to the martyrs of the Egyptian army in 1948 AD in Israel, and the painting appears in the Arabic language in which he wrote, "God Almighty said, do not consider those who were killed in the cause of God to be dead, but alive with their Lord." Great truth of God. Also see the Egyptian-Israeli border incident, August 2011. The storming of the Israeli embassy in Cairo 2011. Palestinian-Egyptian relations. Sources: Cairo, Hisham Abd al-Malik, BBC. Where can Israel find a place for its embassy in Cairo? BBC Arabic. Archived from the original on May 10, 2018. Retrieved April 20, 2018. Egypt appoints its ambassador to Israel after an absence of 3 years. Arabic copy reserved June 25, 2015 on the Wayback Machine website. Ophir Gentleman on Twitter. Archived from the original on December 11, 2019. Retrieved April 20, 2018. Quiz Protocol, Egyptian State Information Service copy reserved November 26, 2009 on the Wayback Machine website. Sister projects in Commons, pictures and files on Israeli-Egyptian relations. And Egypt's foreign relations. And Israel's foreign relations. The gate icon. The October War gate was the gate icon. The Israel gate was the gate icon. The Egypt gate was the gate icon. The gate for international relations. 2 classifications: Israel's bilateral relations, Egyptian-Israeli relations.